Happy Monday. Happy early Halloween. I'm joined today by my daughter, Deandra, my mini me. Today is Q&A Monday, and I wanted to talk a little bit about working out with your littles. Working out, stretching out, whatever you want to call it. They've got a big night on the streets tomorrow, and I want to make sure if you aren't an active family, if your kid is dealing with some tension, some growing pains, they're all going to be putting a few extra miles on their legs tomorrow. So I thought we'd go through a couple of basic exercises and stretches today that you can do with your children. I see that I am live in Facebook land, so we are good to go. So my daughter is 12. She's been using vibration plates since she was in my womb. So she's an experienced user. Today we're working out on the Relax-A-Vibe model. We're just using the plate. We're not using any mats. We are going to be using also, as an option, the Aeroflex step for some of the stretching and some of the massage. So Deandra, I'm going to get you to start the machine. We're going to be working just in oscillating mode today, which is the teeter-totter that mimics how we walk. Knees are slightly bent as always so that the body's absorbing the movement. Deandra plays with me lots on these machines. Her feet are positioned about hip width apart. When you're on the machine, it's tempting to stand wide. That's a lot of the marketing. But I always teach functional. And whether you're doing athletic training with your kid or you just want to get them a little bit more active, we live in a world where we sit at a desk, and that includes them. They begin that desk career when they get into school, and they're sitting for 7 to 8 hours a day. So a little time on the way to school, a little bit of time after school, if you're not terribly active. If you are an active kid, a little bit of warm-up before sports to reduce injury, warm up the muscle groups. And Deandra hasn't had any lately, but it's not uncommon to deal with things like growing pains, constipation, upset stomach, anxiety. Kids deal with things in the same way biologically and mentally we do to a degree, but they don't have the life experience to cope. And sometimes what might seem like a little stress trigger for us can be huge to them. So, physical stress, oxidization in the body, oxidative stress can cause the same issues physically that we deal with in our children. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with a child using a vibration machine. If you're dealing with anything medically, of course, check with your doctor to make sure that activity of any kind is appropriate. A vibration plate is just an environment that you do exercises on. There's nothing, no shock, no electric, no nothing going on. It is simple, very low impact movement. Now, one of the areas that we're always working on is legs. So I'm going to have Deandra go into a bit of a squat, a little deeper. Keep those knees in line with the feet. You can put your hands on your hips like Deandra has done. You can put them at your sides. If you're not working with exercise positions regularly with your child, a static exercise where you're not moving, can you feel that already on your muscles? It's going to fatigue them faster. The whole point of this, you can stand back up, isn't to get them to fatigue, but just to activate those particular muscle groups. And by going into a squat, do that again. We're taking the load from, just moving us throughout our body to specifically targeting those legs. You know how to do a pelvic tilt, right? So we're going to stand up, and we're going to do this. We tilt the bum forward, backward. Okay, so another good thing to do is just get some movement in the core. They spend a lot of time sitting. So before you send them out on the streets tomorrow with their 20, 30 pounds of candy that they're going to be hauling, we can loosen things up if they are dealing with any tension from the day or just from being inactive. This is a great way. You could even put them in their costume for just a minute or two outside the door. So what we're going to do now, another area that a lot of my kids deal with, not only in my special needs group, but just kids in general, is the growing pain in the legs and tightness in the back of the hamstrings that comes from being inactive, but it's also a growing thing. So we're going to touch our toes. We're going to keep our knees unlocked. The headband's going to fall off. Go ahead. She's going to reach over, and we're just going to hang. It's not necessarily about touching the toes. Now, once you're up down there, you can lock up those legs just for and you're going to feel the stretch more through the back of the thigh and the calves. Bend those knees and you can stand back up for a minute. The headband was falling out. With something like that, if you're feeling you're unstable or your kid doesn't have the best balance, you could put a stool in front of them. You can also just give them your hand. So if you need a little stability on the way down, go ahead. Right? Just give them something to hang on to if they need. And I would do 3 to maybe 5 reps of this one, holding for 3 to 5 seconds like Deandra's doing. So that's stretching the back of the hamstrings, the calves to a degree. Another variation we're going to do is just a calf stretch. So a calf stretch, 1 foot at a time. Hook it off the back and push that heel. You're going to lock that back leg and you're going to, do you feel that stretch? Back your foot up about another inch off. You're just hooking it under the ball of the foot. Switch legs. Lock that back leg. Yeah, just like you're off the edge of a stair. And most of you are not dealing with a big Rumblex. For those of you that are working on a Waver or a Waver Mini, some of the lighter, more portable models, you'll want to do this 1 foot at a time. If you are working with a child or if you've got a chair in front of you, hang on to my arms. We're going to do that same thing, but we're going to stretch both feet at the same time. So just back both them off a little bit more. You can widen them up if you want a bit. And then just push those heels down. Okay, so she's light. She's not going to tip the machine. But if your machine's, only 20, 30 pounds itself, I wouldn't do a 2 foot calf stretch off the edge of it. Do that 1 foot at a time. So next we're going to do some step ups. So I'm going to have you step off the machine. I've done this in my own exercise routines from time to time, but this is a good way if you are looking to develop a bit of cardio, you want to get those hips and those legs moving. We're going to simply step up 1 foot at a time. We're going to keep the knees bent and we're going to keep a pace going and step back off. So down, up. Don't step on the cord. Down. Now she's stepping on with her feet fairly close. That's a bit instinctual for her a lot. The wider you stand on a plate, the more movement. The closer you stand, the less movement. That's called your amplitude. And a lot of times when people are talking to me, you can keep doing that, talking to me about intensity or, it feels too strong, we often associate it with the speeds or the program that we're using. When in fact, in oscillating mode, or if you're using a combination of that, it's about how close or how far apart your feet or hands are in an upper body exercise. And you want to make sure that you're not taking on more than you're ready for. So Deandra, naturally, when you're walking up steps, you're probably not standing wider than your hips. So she's stepping closer together because that's the width of her frame. That's natural and that's functional. That's what we want you focusing on. Okay? Maybe we should get down on the ground and do some stretching and some massage. Okay? So I'm going to bring into the equation, you can just step off, this one here. To this point, we've been using a fairly slow speed range. For stretching and massage, I prefer to go faster. Bring it up to, this model goes 60, so I'm going to have her bring it up to the 30-40 range. Okay. And I'm going to give her the step to sit on. Okay. It's okay. Sit your bum. What we're going to start with here now, she's fairly petite in comparison to the size of the platform that we're using today. So push your legs off till the heel, keep coming up till the heels are just popped off. Keep coming. So for her, keep going. I don't want your heels on it. I want your heels past. Yeah. Keep going. Just another inch maybe. Okay. So she can basically get from just under her butt cheek to the back of her heel, her Achilles on the platform. We're massaging the back sides of the legs. Oh, and I hit the buttons. It's okay. Yeah, bring it up. Again, we're massaging in a mid-range. And what we're going to do here, this is a variation. This is another one that you can do. But instead of standing to stretch the calves and the hamstrings, while we're massaging, we're going to do that same movement, but while we're sitting. So we're going to straighten up the feet, and we're going to reach for the toes. Legs are straight. Relax your head. And then just sit back up. So if you're dealing with poor mobility, if you're dealing with lots of tension, and this is something you want to do, a lot of my family keep doing that one for about, we're going to do this 3 to 5 reps for about 3 to 4 seconds, whatever feels comfortable. Then just take a breather. A lot of my family's dealing with CP, where you've got that spasticity presenting in the back of the legs, instead of you spending 20 minutes to a half hour massaging manually your vibration plate 3 to 5 minutes before you go to bed. Standing is more weight bearing. So if the goal is strength and bone density and those types of things, weight bearing activities are what I want you to strive towards. But this is you got an active kid that's running around all day, and they're in therapy all day. This is another way to do it a little bit more on the relaxing side. Now we're going to move up a little bit further. I'm going to have Deandra move up till her knees are just past the plate. Keep going all the way till you're sitting on it. Keep going. Keep going. Now, if you don't want so much head vibe, it is not harmful. It just tickles the nose and gets a little bit getting used to. It takes you time to get used to it. You can lean forward slightly, which will reduce the amount of vibration going straight up. You can lean back on your arms. That's another way to do it. While you're sitting on the machine, we're getting more deeply into the glute muscles, the back of the thighs. We can also continue to stretch if that's another variation that you enjoyed. So reach for the toes again. You can do that while sitting in this position. As an adult, you'll probably have to break it into 2 sets of massages, doing the calves and the hams and glutes separately. Really depends on the length of your leg. This is also a good one for constipation. Or perhaps you're dealing with weak muscles and that urinary incontinence, leakage, all those types of kids deal with these things too. So just by sitting on the machine, if you're fairly constipated, if there's indigestion, there's lots of different reasons and research to sit on a plate. It just takes a smaller body with less padding, a little bit more time to get used to it. So know that you probably will be a little bit itchy, pins and needles, tingly. You can stand up if you're feeling you've had enough. 2 to 3 minutes, like I say, for the seated massage. If you're breaking it into 2 separate massages, when people ask me about how long total time, it's hard. It really depends on whether you're pushing for fatigue and doing fitness type things, or if we're just doing some feel good like Deandra's doing today. You could probably do a couple more squats if you wanted. You want to try using the ball. You know how to do it between the legs. Another variation that I've done in the past is we're just putting the ball between her knees. It helps strengthen the inner and the outer thighs. It's just a variation on the squat. But anything that you'd like your kids to be doing if they're not active enough, if they're sports training and there's particular things you'd like to be focusing them on, the vibration plate is simply an environment. The side benefits are going to be, you can turn that off and have a seat beside me. The benefits are going to be better blood flow. They're going to be sleeping better. They're going to be pooping better. If they are dealing with growing pains or athletic pains from training, this is an ultimate tool to consider. If you've got one in the house already, you should be using it with your kids as well. If there's any medical issues that are present, as I said, you should have that discussion first with your doctor. But there's nothing wrong with kids being active. I think teaching them good technique and habits early will carry on much later in life. And, it's not always a big workout. Like I tell you guys, sometimes it's just self-care. I'd rather them use some of these tools than medications and other things that are just going to mask symptoms versus, getting to some of the root cause of those tight muscles, getting some circulation into those areas. And I know kids, a lot of the kids that I work with in today's world, flexibility has gone out the window. Like once they go to school, they lose so much flexibility getting into that seated position, that stagnant, mode they're in all day, that, anything you can do to prolong flexibility, stability. We don't always exercise for purpose. Maybe you're an active family, but if there are issues, your vibration machine is a great tool to use to aid your children's benefit, just for the same reasons that you're using them as well. Thank you for helping me we are going trick-or-treating tomorrow. Deandra is a pom-pom bat today, but her real costume, she's going to be Medusa. It wasn't so great for the vibration machine with all her snake heads shaking. So I'm just going to see if there's some questions. Do you want to wait and see? Maybe there's questions for you. You want to just wait with me? Yeah. You're welcome to just sit on the plate or turn it off. So I'm going to come back to the screen now. And again, I thank you guys for joining me on a Monday. If there's any questions that you have for me, whether it's related to today's chat, your plate, working out with kids, I would love to hear from you. If you haven't got a vibration plate and you're considering one for use with your child, interesting little tidbit about my kids coaching. Most of the time where possible, I prefer to coach the parent or the caregiver. I deal with a lot of special needs with lots of symptoms all over the place. Anything from paralysis to pain to spasticity to using the plates to recover from surgery. So one of the biggest things for my parents and my caregivers is if you're using the plate yourself and you physically understand how it feels, it's easier to translate and assimilate your child to using it. They go through the same things we do, the itchiness, the pins and the needles, whereas with a lot of the therapists that I support, if you're positioning it and explaining it prior and they expect it, you know, it does dissipate quicker with kids, just like anything else. But they're going to be itchy. They're going to have pins and needles. They tend to have lower body fats. They tend to have smaller mass. So, you know, where the foot positioning is, the durations of your exercise, all of these things need to be taken into consideration. But there's a lot of benefits kids can obtain from using the vibration plate you may already have in your home. So what do you like about using the plate?
I just like stretching, really.
She likes stretching. She likes sitting and laying and doing anything other than exercises. Are you scared of it?
No, not really.
Have you ever been?
Not really.
Deandra's been doing them for a very, very, very long time. And like any sport in life, you know, what you may be conditioned, you may not be conditioned to doing something. And to me, a vibration plate is just no different than a treadmill or an elliptical. It takes time to figure out your groove, you know, what a routine might look like for you. But if you're not an exercise guru now, the simplest way to get results and consistent use in on your machine is just picking simple exercises. We did about 3 different variations today that are very effective for lots of different reasons. It's not always about a big elaborate routine. And I do suggest the best way to be successful, not only personally, but with your kids is if you're not active now, if you're not doing, you know, regular exercise, floor-based exercise positions, you know, pick a few that are effective, the squat, the push-up, whatever they may be. And, you know, 3 or 4 good exercises can cover a lot of ground without getting too hung up on it being too complicated or too, sometimes if it's too exotic, there's too many moves, it's hard to focus on the technique without the foundation being there in the first place. I don't know what everybody's plans are for Halloween. We got a fair bit of snow here, but it is getting nicer. So hopefully we don't have to wear parkas under our costume. I wish everybody a safe and happy and a healthy Halloween. Enjoy the treats that you do get, but make good choices. Do some working out on your machine before you head out on the streets. Stay hydrated and enjoy being out and seeing all the little costumes and trick-or-treaters out. Keep an eye out for them tomorrow. If there's no questions, I've either rambled and talked you to death or you guys have absorbed and are applying everything we've talked about today. I appreciate you joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you in November already. I'll see you next Monday for something wonderful and exciting. And I look forward to talking to you again on Monday. Have a great Halloween, everybody.
Bye.
Happy Halloween. Thank you for joining me, Deandra.